Okay, so the first and most important thing everyone will need for this game is a transparent glass. Pint glasses work great, it's built for pint glasses, but if you don't have that, disposable cups work, tall mugs, basically anything that's as tall or taller than your character card. Then each player will have to choose a character card. For this demonstration we're using the Butcher, the Doctor, and the Prospector. Then you're going to place the speed tracker, the speed die, and the character pieces under the center of the table. Shuffle and set the player and upgrade cards around the speed tracker. Then, deal 3 upgrade cards face up onto the table so everyone can see. Next, shuffle the Outlaw deck and reveal one to be the gang leader. Place it face up on the table. For this example, we're using the Countess. Her special ability is that every time you roll a 10 on the speed die, all players pass their hand to the left. Shuffle the rest of the Outlaw cards and place it horizontally on top of the leader. That way you can see the special ability in the bottom and the name at the top. Deal 3 player cards to each player. Then, choose a starting player and give them the deputy token with the full side up. Finally, fill your glasses to full or above the game card height and begin the game. At any point of the game, one player will be an active player, aka the deputy, holding the deputy token while everyone else play the drunks. Now, while the deputy has control of which action to do that turn, they are the only one who cannot drink for the duration of that turn. It's a tough job, which is why this badge gets passed to the left after every turn. Now, your pistol and your reputation are the 2 most important things of the game. Of course, your pint glass representing your pistol and your character representing your reputation. The name of your role will be displayed at the top of the card, followed by the picture of your character. Then below that is a reminder of your 3-card hand limit and that each character gets 1 free damage per shootout. Below that you have a reminder of where your skills and hinders go and your upgrades. When you flip to the reverse side, you'll see that each character comes with a unique grit meter, and when held up to your pint glass, your drink line will intersect one of these speed tiers. To change your speed, you drink your pint. During a shootout, the use of these grit meters will determine your base shooting speed, which is then marked on the speed tracker. The higher the number, the faster your draw. The cards you'll be drawing throughout the game will either be skills or hinders. And while your pint glass will always determine your base speed, you can use skills to either raise your speed or lower it. And each card that you play in your reputation is going to alter your name. For example, if I play this skill, I'm now the Murder-Thirsty Doctor. And if I play this other skill, I'll now be the Legendary Murder-Thirsty Doctor. And you'll notice on the top of these skills there are numbers, with an arrow pointing up and down. So after I determine my base speed, let's say it's 6, I can then use each of these skill cards to raise or lower my speed by that value. Now, while you're playing skill cards on yourself to build your reputation, your opponents are going to be playing hinders onto you to tarnish your reputation. We have physical hinders, and we have spoken hinders. When these cards are played onto your reputation, each one is going to give you a prompt or a rules text in which you have to follow. And each time you fail to perform or follow your rule, and one of your opponents calls you out on it, you have to discard. And discard is a very important term in this game, and I'll get into exactly what that means in just a little bit. You'll notice at the bottom of these cards there are burn icons. These burn icons have a symbol on it that match the icon of an opposite card. For example, yellow cards can burn red cards, and red cards can burn yellow cards. So if I have these 2 hinders on my reputation, I want to get rid of them, I can play this skill, and if this skill burn icon matches the top of this hinder will get discarded and this skill would take its place. Say I want to get rid of lip smacking, and I can play Murder Thirsty, and they have matching icons as well. So when that gets played onto my reputation, that'll burn whatever's on there, that gets discarded, and now my reputation is changed. And throughout the entire game there's going to be a lot of back and forth and judgment calls whether or not you want to play something to better yourself or play something to hinder someone else. And throughout this entire process, it's incredibly fun to read your reputation out loud and call other people by their long-winded names. Anytime you earn an upgrade, it goes on the right-hand side of your reputation. And there are 2 ways to gain them. You can either empty your pint glass or pay $100 in collected bounty. When you start capturing outlaws, they're going to be worth $50, $100, or $150. Now, gaining these upgrades means it's going to add to the flavor of your reputation. Say, for example, I finish my pint glass and I get this upgrade, a fistful of bullets. After I replenish the upgrade slot, I can now read my reputation, which is the Legendary Condescending Lip-Smacking Doctor with a Fistful of Bullets. Now, these upgrades are going to either be ongoing or flip when used. Ongoing will just have a static effect that goes throughout the game, but with the flip cards, once you use the ability, it flips, and it doesn't flip back until the beginning of your next deputy turn. In Alewood, you never have to drink as a punishment. You only drink for strategy. Wink wink. Whenever anything bad happens to you, you have to discard. And having cards in your hand and cards in your reputation is key to winning the game. Now there's a specific order in which discarding works. Hand, skill, hinder. Whether it be from an outlaw or a hinder, anytime I discard, it first has to come out of my hand. If I have no more cards in my hand, then I discard skills attached to my reputation. If I have no more skills in my reputation, then I start discarding hinders. Now, hinders that are causing you to discard are never discarded unless it's the last one on your reputation. So for example, if someone plays a hinder that is incredibly difficult to upkeep, you either have to get rid of it with a skill card or use your wit to compensate because it will eat up your entire board. Whoever is the deputy will have control of that turn. And every turn there will be 3 steps. Step 1. Deputy rolls the speed die and places it on the speed tracker. Not only will this determine how fast the outlaw is for this turn, but if you roll a 10, it'll immediately trigger the outlaw's special ability. Step 2. Deputy chooses one action, gear up or shoot out. To gear up, the deputy may play a card face down onto any player, including themselves, and then draw a card. Then, the drunks may also play a card onto any player face down, and then draw a card. Players may choose to do one of either action or to perform both. After all cards have been played or drawn, any player with face down cards in front of their reputation will simultaneously reveal them and then adjust their reputation. Any player whose reputation has been altered that turn will take turns reading their entire reputation and all the new rules text they have. As soon as your entire reputation is read aloud, all new rules texts activate. Whenever a shootout is initiated by the deputy, all players must immediately stop drinking so they can measure their grit. There are 3 steps to a shootout. 1 is the grit check. Each player measures their glass and places their character piece onto the speed tracker. Second step, skills. Starting with the deputy going clockwise, each player must adjust their speed for each skilled card they have attached to their reputation. And the last step, shoot. Turn order resolves starting with the player with the highest speed going down. If there are multiple players in the same speed tier, the player with the winning tiebreaker of that speed will choose the turn order for everyone within that tier. Now on your turn, players must choose how much damage to put on the outlaw deck. Each player can do 1 free damage, but can increase their damage total by discarding from their hand. Each discarded card will increase their total damage by 1 point. After the cards are discarded, you can apply your damage to the outlaw deck. For example, if I'm the doctor, I can do 1 damage for free, but if I have 2 cards in my hand, I can discard 1 to do 2 damage or discard 2 to do 3 damage. So I'll make a decision and say, okay, I'm going to discard 1 card. So now I'm going to do 2 damage to this outlaw deck. It takes 1 damage to flip a card face up and reveal the outlaw, but some outlaws have abilities which immediately activate when revealed. If it's a skull, it immediately triggers a leader's special ability. If it's a down arrow, all players participating in the shootout must immediately discard, including the ones who just shot. If it's a bullet, or 2 bullets, or 3, that's the amount of additional damage needed in a single turn from a single player in order to capture them. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1 damage to flip this outlaw over. And it reveals to be John Bass, who takes 2 damage to capture, but since I only have 1 left over, he just soaks it up and he stays. Damage doesn't stack, so if I don't have enough to capture an outlaw, I'm leaving him to the next player. Now whoever's next up on the speed tracker will take their next shot, and they already know that they only need 2 to capture that outlaw. If they want to do more, they can discard additional cards to do 3 to flip over the next one. If they can do 4 damage, they can possibly capture 2 outlaws if they're lucky. And finally, coming all the way back around to the turn to step 3, the active player passes the deputy token to their left, choosing the new tiebreaker for the next round. Tiebreakers will be determined by either the fullest glass or the emptiest glass. Now as you're playing through these turns going round and round, your table's going to look a little bit something like this. People are going to have a collection of skills and hinders, upgrades that they've earned throughout the game, they're going to have collections of bounties, and as you're playing, you're slowly capturing all the outlaws from this deck and adding it to your collection. These outlaws are going to have $50, $100, or sometimes $150 on their bounty. When you finally get down to the leader, who's going to be worth $250, that will end the game. When the game ends, all the players will tally up their bounties, and whoever has the highest bounty will win the game. If there's a tie between multiple players in terms of bounty, we go down to your reputation as the tiebreaker. Each skill will give you +1 reputation, and each hinder will give you -1 reputation. So you add them up, and whoever has the most will win the tiebreaker. If there's still a tie, we go to the deputy token tiebreaker. Now at this point in the game, you guys have been role-playing your characters and performing your hinders for so long that it's sort of burned itself into your psyche. For the next hour or so, you're going to continue squinting your eye, talking with a gritty voice, or referring yourself as the dirty prospector. Either way, you all end up closer, saucier, and full of beans. Good night, everyone.